On the Wado Radio Show.
Of course, man, it's DJ Wado. It's the Wado Radio Show. It's more than music. It's ministry. We got a homie on the line, man, from the ATL, Alex Faith, Collision Records. What's up, brother?
Chilling, man. Working too hard.
Working too hard, man. Brother, you are one of the hardest working people in this game, though, man.
If the shoe fits.
I say that, man, because I think there's so much stuff that you do apart from just the music to kind of keep things moving that a lot of people don't see, man. You know what I'm saying? So when you're saying you're working too hard, I'm thinking, man, the rest of us just aren't working hard enough, bro.
And it's a lot more than rapping and tweeting going on.
Just a little bit, right? Just a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I want to say this, brother. I got to start with Bloodlines, this new album. Been listening to it. Man, I mean, I remember, your first performance at Legacy Conference, your mixtape, and even meeting you years ago in Philly, before Collision Records, all of that. And brother, you have come a long way musically, and I say that in a good way. Like the sound on this is so mature, even more advanced than your last record. You know what I'm saying? At last, bro. So just congratulations on putting together something really solid, bro.
Nah, man, I appreciate that. You've been a mainstay in supporting my stuff, so I really appreciate that, dog.
Yeah, man. Talk to us about this concept, this Bloodlines concept, man, because I'm hearing race. Obviously, I'm hearing a lot of stories on the record from you growing up. You know, that's a big part of your music is your testimony, bro. But just weave this whole concept and this campaign together for us.
So it's really, to be honest with you, man, it's not super deep. I don't like concept albums.
Yep.
Because I don't feel like they give you the freedom to do what, you know what I'm saying, just to do a tight song if you feel like it. And I've seen a lot of brothers have to cut really dope songs from records because they don't fit with the concept or on a concept that shouldn't be there. And so, at last it's not a concept album. It was just like, hey, I'm going to find a tight name and do some songs. Honest to God, same thing. Southern Lights, same thing.
Yep.
So, with this record, it's very similar to that. Bloodlines is the name of a song that me and JR did on, who's now Courtney Orlando. We did that on At Last.
Yep.
It was the first time he and I had ever worked together, and that was special to me because I was just such a huge fan from, even from his cross movement days.
Yeah.
That I remember I asked him to work with me a while back, from when I was tour managing, and he was like, no. It's like the most overt no that I've ever gotten. It wasn't like, nah, man, I'll think about it. He was like, nah, bro, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you sound like. He was like, you got some years of establishing to have before I ever worked with you. And so, fast forward 5 years, 6 years, something like that. And it's right at 5 years since I asked him that question, and he produced my whole album.
Wow.
So I wanted to name the album that because I love that song from the last record, and then I think it just made sense for me and JR working. There is some, layers to the name besides just me and JR did a song called that.
Yeah.
That goes into, you listen to Freedom, you pretty much get the idea of the whole record.
Yeah. You know what's funny, bro, is that is so JR, though. Like, that's so JR. Like, just that definitive no. Like, no.
Yeah, he just like, I remember where I was and everything, and I just remember being like, dang.
Does he remember it? That's the question. Does he remember? He remember?
Oh no, we talk about it, laugh about it now, but that brother got straight. I was like, all right, so
you made it your life mission. Oh, this brother gonna work with me one day.
Hey, dog, that dude is a legend. Like for real, I feel like he's like the Timberland, Pharrell.
Yep.
Like present in our circle. Like him and DJ Official, who also produced on my album. Like to have them two cats, like I feel like that's like Just Blaze and Pharrell. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so to that just meant a lot to me.
That's a great analogy, Just Blaze and Pharrell. That's a great analogy between those two.
And it was a beast.
Yeah, great analogy, bro. Man, I gotta talk to you about man, why is the name of the song escape me, man? Dark Matters. I almost called it Black Lives Matter.
That would have been too overt, though, man.
But man, this record Dark Matters, and you know, race has never been something you shied away from. I mean, me and you've had whole interviews about race, you know, race issues and things like that.
Years ago.
Yeah, yeah, that was. I'm sitting there thinking like that was like not that long ago. That was actually a while ago, bro.
Yeah, like 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
My first retail single from Collision was Promised Land.
Yeah.
That was 2012.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Like pre-Trayvon Martin, pre-Black Lives Matter, all that stuff.
Was that before Trayvon Martin?
Yep. I think so. Let me not lie, but I think so. I'm pretty sure.
It might have been.
I know that wasn't a motivation.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's crazy, bro. That's really taking me back, man. But for so many, I mean, one, again, thank you for talking about this, because this is one of those sensitive topics that you don't see a lot of white brothers and sisters talking about with any regularity in many cases, particularly leaders and stuff like that. So first and foremost, thank you for that, bro. But man, just talk about, man, just the creation of this, the inspiration behind it, you know, all those things, man, that led you to put that record on this particular album, bro.
Well, so the irony is, I after doing Wake Up Music on Southern Lights, you know, and I feel like becoming the white dude who will talk about it, like that being a reputation, I was like, man, you know what, I'm not going to do any more of those. I feel like it's getting cliche, and, you know, everybody right now is everybody's dropping a single about some Black Lives Matters or some racism or something, and it's just like, it's not tight to me. So as much as I appreciate it getting attention, like I think there is some skepticism on my half, but it's just like, it's getting attention like right now when that's all everybody's talking about. And I think that's kind of goofy on rappers, you know what I'm saying? It's like, let me go make a song about some racism, and I never cared about this before or talked about it before in my life, let alone in my music. So I think that's corny, and I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to do that no more. And if people ask me, then I'll tell them my opinion, but I think I'm not going to do songs like this. So we were working on that record, and JR, when he bounced it down, he called the beat Dark Matter. And I was like, freak. So I don't know, man. Something about it, the production itself was just like, all right, this makes sense. And so it's where the pen went, and I just went with it. But you know, it's compound. It's like compounded when you watch videos of little girls getting tossed across the room by grown men.
Yeah.
You know, boys getting choke slammed by, you know, the school resource officers, cats getting shot in the head through the window of their car as they're driving away. And in basically every instance, it's somebody who is either poor or black or both. And that mug is just it's kind of ridiculous, man. And so I've always, especially with songs like that, tried to be as inflammatory as possible, which a lot of people hate me for that, but that's okay. That's kind of the intent, is to piss people off and make them uncomfortable. So I want to say that, you know, police who are doing this are cowards. I want to say that, you know, law enforcement and the way that the system is set up right now is against the poor, is against minorities, and say that in such a way that's kind of arrogant. It's kind of like, nah, this is true, and everybody should know this. What's wrong with you? And so, you know, so when I say inflammatory, it's just I just want to say stuff like that, like Wake Up Music. I said, you know, something about, you know, these things don't have, like, the problems of the black neighborhoods, white people never see them. That's not true, but I said it, and I know that's never been true for me. But in general, I feel like it's true enough to where it can piss enough people off to where they at least have the conversation or pay attention. And at the end of the day, I'm comfortable with just making people mad. Like, I don't even care if your mind gets changed. I think on some level, the songs like that should be insulting to people who need to be insulted, and so that's what they're there for.
Yeah. How much backlash do you get for records like this?
It used to be a lot more. I haven't seen a lot because Dark Matters came out yesterday, but I'm imagining that's going to be pretty swift. The Wake Up music was amazing. Where I had cats blocking me, unfollowing me. I had cats calling me, like all kinds of crazy stuff, bro. You should have seen my Facebook after Southern Lights Out came out. It was like 100 comment thread about basically how I hated the police and didn't respect their sacrifices and all this other stuff. It's a bunch of BS, bro, and I'm sick of it. So that song is kind of like the culmination of frustrations.
Sure.
And it just came out that way.
Do you hate the police?
Sometimes.
That's real.
Yeah.
I feel like, man, this is my thing though, bro. I feel like in this society, right, it's like if you're critical of the police at all on any level, it's you have a certain segment of people that just automatically say, man, you're a hater, you're anti-police, you're anti-policing, you don't respect them. And it's just like, nah, like I just feel like they're not above criticism.
Yeah, man. It's cliche for people in my position to say, like, oh, I have friends who are police, so I don't feel that way. It's like, but the reality is, man, like, I've had at-length conversations with people who are officers who will acknowledge these morons who are killing people and beating people up for no good reason. They exist. And I'm still so, but police aren't bad. And I'm like, listen, one of those guys to 10 great, good dudes still equals somebody being dead in the street. And that's enough for me to say the things that I'm saying and be justified in it. The other thing is police should be held to a higher standard. Like, the moral responsibility that somebody who walks around running a badge can literally take away your human rights. Like, that's a big deal. You could put handcuffs on me and lock me up forever if you felt like it, or shoot me if you felt like it. So on that level, I just go, man. I don't know what the answer is. I don't claim to be an expert. For me, it's more about just like music is a way to vent my frustrations and my feelings. And on for some reason, people think because of that, I'm just gonna have all the answers. And they just go, well, what is your solution? Like, well, I don't have one. I'm just acknowledging the fact screwed up. But I got a lot more thoughts on that. That's a whole other conversation. It's just, the assumption is when I say something negative about police or law enforcement or what have you, politics in general, you say something negative about, conservatism or the right, typical evangelical conservatism, and you immediately are, basically, you don't appreciate what they're about, you don't understand, you don't value the police who are doing good. And I'm like, why is that the assumption? I'm just saying, some of these guys suck, and y'all know it.
Yo, have you been keeping up with like the debates and stuff like that? Have you watched any of those?
I did not watch the most recent one. I didn't watch the Democratic one either, but I watched, I think, the second Republican debate, and it's just like, it's like a goofy pissing contest. Hey, I flew on this plane with Ronald Reagan, or hey, I did this, or it's like let me like these guys wear their resume on their sleeve, and it's like disgusting, bro. Like that is American politics right now.
Yeah,
it's like look at what I have done, and I'm like, so it's kind of goofy. The one that I watched was like 2 hours long, and it was really kind of mind-numbingly frustrating. So I decided to avoid them after that.
Yeah, you know what's been most difficult for me in processing this is it seems like, at least in the Republican side, particularly with Donald Trump kind of being one of the main front runners, if not the front runner for most of this, is the guy who's made the most race inflammatory, racial statements, talking about deporting people, disrespecting Hispanics, just all these different things. And I'm just like, why is this being celebrated in that party? You know what I'm saying? Like that. That's just kind of blowing me right now, bro.
Yeah, that's just reflective of where we are as a country. I mean, the fact that that guy could be a front runner in anything right now is reflective of who we are as people, and where society is as a whole. He's what every white person wants to say, but just doesn't have the balls to say. And so that's why he's being championed. It's like, he just tells it like it is. He's making a fool of himself and the country because people are supporting him. It's confusing, bro. Like, it's really confusing, man.
I think it was, and I apologize if it wasn't him. I think he might have shared it, but I was reading something online, and it was a white pastor wrote this, and he was basically saying that deep down inside, every white person starts out racist because that's how they've been taught, and they either have to try to unlearn that or they try to suppress it. And I thought that was kind of strong. And it didn't feel like it was true, but I'm also not white, and haven't been.
Yeah, I would say that's. I haven't seen it, but I'm pretty sure that brother doesn't have very many black friends in his life. That would be an assumption on my end, but I don't feel that way.
It was a white person that said it. That's what was crazy. It wasn't a black person. It was actually a white person.
That's so I don't say this kind of stuff a lot because I think it is an escape route, but that's like very stereotypical white guilt crap.
Yeah.
Like, man, that ain't true. Like, chill. Stand solidarity, like, understand, try to identify or at least begin to comprehend the things that minorities and poor people go through. But at the same time, like, don't jump off the ship like that. That's not what black people or Latino people or poor people want. They just want you to be able to identify on some level, or even if you can't identify, like, just support when you know it's right. You know what I'm saying? But ain't nobody saying, like, oh, man, white people are just born evil and racist. That's not true at all. I know, like, I in my family, man, there are everything from, I grew up, my sister is mixed, my wife is black, and I would say, like, 70% of my family is, like, rednecks. Some of them are outright racist. Some of them are absolutely not. And so I think, blanket statements like that don't help anybody. I think that's just kind of true.
Let me go back to the record for a minute, bro.
Yeah.
I actually meant to ask you this in the beginning. We were talking more about the record and the concept and all that, but I want your thoughts on this. When AT, for those listening, that's Adam Tomlinson. When he sent me this album, he is the CEO, founder of Collision Records. He was like, "Yo, Wado, I think this might be the best record we've ever put out." And I'll be honest, a lot of people say stuff like that all the time. So I kind of took it with a grain of salt. AT, I took it with a grain of salt, bro, if you're listening. But when I listened to it, I said, I haven't listened to it enough to say definitively that it is. But when I listened to it, I said, okay, this could be in the running for some of the best music that Collision has put out. It's good. I wanted your thoughts on that statement. Where do you think this where would you rank this body of work that's yours in comparison to and I know how you feel about everybody else on the label, you know what I mean, but do you think this is some of the best work that's come out of Collision?
That's tough, man, because I think that's a subjective kind of thing. But I know that's the best music I've ever done. Like, I can say that, definitively. I think that's just the culmination of, kind of getting a foot in the door.
Yep.
With Honest to God and We Live as Kings, and then at last was really successful and did a lot of stuff for me. And I still didn't really know where I wanted to land sound wise, because obviously We Live as Kings, Honest to God, and at last were all like polar sounding projects. They don't even remotely sound similar.
Yeah.
And so it's like, all right, well, if I'm gonna, cultivate my own style, like, what am I gonna do? Southern Lights is more like, that's the wit, like, influence is heavy.
Yep.
So the sound there was completely, I won't say completely. Obviously, we did the records that I love the most, but Wit is a really strong producer, and so for him, like, his sound can overwhelm sometimes in a good way. Because everybody, at least in our circle, like, loves Wit sound, and I think that that's just spread. But this time around, I was like, man, I just want to do my own thing. Like, I want to do like some southern rock, southern blues, like soul influenced hip hop. And I'm a musician first before I rap. Like, like, that's my thing. So studio stuff, building the studio, getting musicians, hiring musicians, probably more than we probably should have. Getting JR on board to really kind of execute the overall, like, process of the album. That was something that was like, man, I want to do this. And on the next project, I just want to take it a step further and almost be 100% live instrumentation.
Really?
If I can. Yeah, no, that's where I'm going, bro. Like, I think right now with this album, I've carved a lane that I genuinely don't feel like anybody else sounds like that right now.
Yeah.
And the irony is, me and Dre didn't let each other hear our projects until they were done. And I listened to his projects, and his project has a lot of similarities to mine.
Wow.
I think I might have just announced that Dre's album is done, and I might not have supposed to have been saying that, but whatever.
I knew it was done. Somebody else somebody had told me that, but yeah, you did just announce that.
That's cool. AT won't be mad. I'm sorry, bro. It just happened.
I won't make this a headline. How about that?
Hey, dog, I appreciate that. So, his album, ironically, man, like, I think me and him are in the same place. Dre doesn't have as musical a background as me.
Yeah.
But me and him have a lot of the same taste in music. Like, we'll sit around on Southern Lights tour, bro. We'd be listening to straight folk albums from show to show, in the van. And so, it's cool, man, to, like, see that when me and him separated for these two records, that we kind of stayed in a similar lane as each other, post Southern Lights. And so, yeah, man, that's really, I don't think, I can say that I don't think that there's another Christian hip hop oriented album that's going to come out this year that's going to have as much live instrumentation as mine.
Wow.
We'll see, because there's a couple more months, but, I think when people hear it, it's just going to speak for itself. You know what I mean? But, music is subjective, and so I'm not going to fight battles over lists or, greatest album or whatever, but it is my best work, you know what I'm saying? So people who mess with me and people who mess with Collision, I think, I think they're going to be impressed, hopefully.
Yeah, I think you definitely, I agree, this is definitely your best work. And also, it doesn't sound like anybody else, man. It's very unique to you, but it fits you. Like, it didn't sound like I feel like we're going through a phase with some of what's happening in the scene right now is some artists don't really have a true sound to themselves, so they're just trying to sound like what they're hearing on the radio. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. Like, we've always had some of that in the scene, and I feel like, man, like, there's you and a few others that have. It's just like, yo, man, I just want to develop my own sound. And that, man, you definitely don't sound like anybody, bro.
Yeah, that's really important to me. But I'm from Atlanta, like, we are the birthplace of all things ratchet and great.
Yep.
About music industry right now. And I love, contrary to, a lot of people don't like, especially in our circle, like, they hate the Future sound or the Migos sound. Dog, I love that stuff. I think there's something about it, an emotion that it creates.
So how did you feel about Too Easy then?
I wasn't a big fan of that song, bro.
I thought it was hilarious.
It's that's the crew, so I'm gonna do it regardless. And I think the song was dope, but I'm not bored with the music, I should say. necessarily. But I meant everything I said in that verse, and I think I co-sign everything that everybody said in their verses on the song. But I just wasn't a big fan of I don't like so for me, like, cultural elitism is annoying, and I think what young people are doing with their music, regardless of whether or not older cats can get with it. Man, I think it's just like, dog, that must comes from a genuine place. The same. I can't say that, but I just feel like, man, we should respect what for what it is, and not necessarily live in this bubble that just compares everything that's going on. So it's like, man, if it's not for you, it's not for you. But to say that it's whack is a whole other thing. And so for me, I'm not finna criticize music on that level to say that it sucks or it's whack openly. I got my feelings about stuff, but at the end of the day, I think it's a safer thing for me to just say, like, this just isn't for me versus this is terrible. And that's been my perspective on music in general for a while. It's just, I don't like hearing cats, kind of just slam other artists because it ain't their style. And for really no other reason. What I do think is super whack is when, like, fighting. I just think that's just lame. And so, I also think it's super lame to criticize these artists who make this kind of music and then, turn around and then basically, like, mimic them through and through on one of their songs. You know what I'm saying? That's just kind of corny.
Yo, Alex, you preaching right now, brother.
So, hey, man, look, I can't do nothing but keep it real, dog. That's my MO, bro. I came in, I was like, dog, I ain't gonna lie. I can't lie. I'm not gonna be that dude. I can't lie, bro. It's just who I am.
You keeping it like 220 right now, bro.
So, yeah, man. So, my bad. Going back. So, I love Atlanta music and trap music and all of that stuff. And
yeah.
I actually had a solid. I had a record with Bizzle that I cut at the last minute.
You said with Bizzle?
The sound. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's gonna come out. It's just not gonna come out on this album.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing that I felt freedom in. Is just like, man, I'm an artist. I can drop songs whenever I want. I don't want to feel forced to put them on an album that don't need to be there.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, like if I'm really trying to be unique in an industry that I feel is just so, like, convoluted, which is everybody sounding exactly the same. Bro, I'm from here. I love this music. I love trap music and 808s, and I love autotune, bro. I love me some autotune, dog. You're not gonna hear that mug on my album. Well, with one exception. But it's just like, dog, it is what it is, man. Like, for somebody who's from here and has been around, like, the rise of the various types of, Atlanta pop music, from crunk music to, like, bass music, Kilo Ali to Lil Jon to T-Pain to now to, we in the Future era and Migos era of things like In the City. So I love that stuff, but I'm not going to do it, even though I feel like very naturally I could do that a lot better than a lot of the dudes I hear doing. So I cut all the trap music from my album very early. Like, I mean, he's from St. Louis. Like, he's got that sound. Like, he can do it really well. And we had records that I was like, you know what? Sounds too much on the radio. Let's go a different direction. And he just was like, hey, bro, I'm here to support what you got going on. If you feel like you want to stick to your guns on this, cool, but you need to be consistent about it. So I felt like we were consistent. And right now it's paying off, I think, with the feedback that I've been getting.
Yeah. One other thing I wanted to ask you about the record too, and you kind of answered it. I just wanted to get just be clear, because when I initially I got the album all at once, like track listing, everything, music, everything, right? So the DJ in me, I started looking for features, and I was like, man, no Dre. You know what I'm saying? After they just had the whole Southern Lights campaign, and so it sounds like from what you were saying, this was a conscious decision you guys made to just not do music together in this time, do your own thing separately, and then,
My bad. I'm driving, so I'm still trying to focus. Yeah. I mean, for me, I just go, man, me and Drake just did a whole album together.
Right.
And And I don't think it was intentional that we weren't on each other's projects. I just also think that me and him have been doing so much together that it was kind of like, all right, not that deep. And so there's some stuff in the works, though. Like, me and him's gonna, like, I can tell you this, I'm going to put out another project before the end of the year. Like, I don't care what happens, that mug is coming out. So, and on that one, you might hear some of the more trappy sounds, but but yeah, it wasn't an intentional or non-intentional thing. It's just like, man, when you've done, 50, 60 shows with a dude, a whole album, shot a movie, the short film thing, and it's just like, man, all right, we might need to break up for a little bit, give each other some space and see some other people.
See some other people.
and then come back together. And so right now, the coming back together is already happening. And I think it's going to be dope. Hopefully by the end of the year, everybody will be able to see like what the non-planned but providential stuff that has been happening is turning into.
Nice. So Southern Lights, like that whole movement, like that's going to be an ongoing thing. That wasn't just a campaign for that period of time. Like you foresee that, like you guys will be doing some form of Southern Lights going forward.
Probably. So right now everything is kind of. So I don't know, but I think probably. So that whole thing was birthed out of like necessity. It was just like, I come from a tour management background, and it's pretty much you ain't got 100,000, 200,000 plus followers. You're not really getting booked like that, and if you are, you're having to hustle for them guys. And so for me, I'm like, hey, look, we finna get to work. And so Dre dropped Gold Rush, I dropped it last, and we weren't getting booked. And I'm like, hey, I got an album out, and I don't care what happens, bro. I will go perform for 2 people if I got to. And so we put it out, and just from my background and Dre's work ethic, we were able to really just kind of make it happen. And then that tour was going to be like the Light Up tour or, the Pharaoh tour. Those are the big songs from our album.
Yep.
And we were like, man, we need to co-brand this. Like, we need to co-headline this thing, and we should do this, and we can win together if we do it this way. And he was like, I'm all about it. So Southern Nights came out of that. And then on the road, we ended up writing songs together and kind of putting together some stuff that we ended up throwing all over the way and pretty much remaking the whole project. But, that was never like an intentional, like, to be crew and do this mug. It's just like, birthed out of necessity. Like, hey, bro, I'm not finna be no internet rapper, dude. Like, that's lame. So we're gonna get out here and make it happen.
That's good, man. That's good, bro. Man, dude. It sounds like you finna put out do a lot of different stuff going forward, man. If you're talking about more new music and I know you guys have been working on some dates and stuff like that, bro. Like, it just seems like, man, it's just a constant evolution, bro.
Yeah, man. I feel like if we're doing music and we're not progressing, then the people aren't going to progress with us. And so I think that's from thought process to content to even style. I love my influences, but I don't want to be like mastered by them. So for me, it's all about just trying to push the envelope. Like, man, I probably would have really enjoyed just doing one long ignorant trap song for an album. But it's not progress, And then honestly, I feel like, man, and this is not a jab, because like I said, I love that stuff and I come from it. But I can't do what I feel like important songs like Dark Matters and Freedom. I can't do those on that type of record. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to have something where you can spread out and really go to work on. But it's like you can't turn up the Dark Matter. There's no reason to celebrate that type of content.
Yeah,
it needs to sound heavy. And I think that, classically, man, it's one of the ways you do it is live instrumentation, that has a real organic feel as opposed to just, synth drums and sounds and all that good stuff and that I love. But, when it comes down to, like, delivering something that you feel like is an important message, I think the music should match that message with its importance. Very serious. So Bloodlines to me is a really serious album. There's not a whole lot of like turn up, party.
Yep.
There's 95 Atlanta, and there's Never Let Me Down, which are like chill, smooth, kind of kick it songs.
Yep.
But for the most part, the album is pretty serious.
Yeah. That's good, bro. That's good. I want to ask you this, bro. I've tried to just to kind of chill from talking about this whole situation, just because sometimes things can be touchy, man. But just with Chris Gray leaving Collision and We Live as Kings, man. Just how has that transition been for the label, for you, for the crew, and all of that stuff, bro?
Man, I'm not gonna front. It's difficult. But it's not the end of the world. I think all of us kind of was like, all right, well, that season is over, and we're gonna move on to another place. Like Chris, he sent me a text message this week. You know what I'm saying? Telling me he was digging the video, and I was like, man, I appreciate you. So we still talk off and on. Not gonna lie and be like, man, we chopping it like we used to. But it's like things are different. We're all cool, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no, like, I think it's from a fan perspective, which is, man, like, as much as I love and appreciate people, sometimes I'm just like, bro, y'all gotta chill, for like a month or two solid. I was getting every Instagram post I had was like, why is Chris not on the website? Did y'all kick him off? Da-da-da-da-da. And it was like, yo, chill. Like, it's stuff like relational things going on behind the scenes, business things, that at the end of the day ain't none of nobody's business except us. And, when it comes down to it, it's like, man, we love fans, supporters, and appreciate everything they do, but I think at the end of the day, there needs to be a healthy understanding of like, man, these are grown men with lives, families, and things that are going on and in emotions. And the listener needs to stay in their place to some degree. Christian hip hop don't need no TMZ. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not the goal. And so for me, it's just like, man, it's like, yeah, it's adult, like, in no other sphere of Christian things. I don't know how to describe it, but do we have people who are like, man, to know what happens? Why is she not on the website? It's like, you gotta chill, yo.
Yeah.
So the 2 music video, obviously, there's a lot of comments on there. People, curious about Corey, who've never heard of him before. So faces change, things change, and things are still changing a whole lot around here. And so, but that's part of life in general. You know what I'm saying? And so you add friendship and business and all kinds of stuff into the mix, things get complicated. But at the end of the day, we're all like really striving to honor the Lord in our relationships with one another, and in the way that we present these things to the public. Because it is very private and very sensitive, relational things. So it's like, like, cats gotta chill, man. Like, everything is cool. We're seeking to honor God in the way that we deal with each other and the way that things are being presented. And people just need to sit back and enjoy the music, I feel like. So,
man, at the end of the day, enjoying the music is a big part of this. And I think sometimes we forget that. We want to focus on everything else, but enjoying the music, bro.
Yeah, this is music, man.
Yeah, that's good, bro. That's good, brother. Well, we'll be on the lookout for this. Well, first of all, Bloodlines. I guess by the time everybody hears this interview, this weekend the album will be out. And then we'll be on the lookout for the Dre album that you announced that you didn't announce. And the other project that you announced but that you didn't announce.
Yep.
Yeah, man. So Alex, man, seriously, in all seriousness, bro, I really do appreciate you, bro. And just I was blown away by listening to this music, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, I can't comment enough, man, just on how much you just grown musically. Not that you ever bad, but I mean, this is really good stuff you got here, man.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, man, absolutely, brother. Well, Alex, man, appreciate you, bro.
Yep.
On the Wado Radio Show. On the Wado Radio. On the Wado Radio Show. Where it's much more than music, it's ministry.